And welcome back. If it could happen, it has happened tonight. I'm Dwayne Hulett. Justice Keene is alongside. And before we left our live, we announced that Macomb will be playing QND on Saturday night at 7 o'clock. Tanner Horrell, the head coach for the Macomb Bombers, is with us. And Justice and I were talking, and they were saying, we want to play Saturday night. And I said, I've been doing this for a long time. I have never covered a Saturday night playoff game.
Yeah, they wanted to play on Saturday, and we like the feel under the lights, so we'll go Saturday night.
The few hours difference doesn't bother you any?
Nope. It's going to be a long Saturday, but it'll be worth it, A home playoff game against QND. I think both teams will be up for that.
This week will be a little bit interesting. I know that last year it was the same way. This week is messed up because, you go to school Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, routine's the same, practice. But then Thursday and Friday, parent-teacher conferences, kids are laying around. What's kind of the little message there to get kids, let's wake up, let's keep the routine, and get our bodies, keep them where they need to be.
Yeah, we kind of went through it last year. We've had a couple practices this year when we didn't have school. So we keep our normal 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock practice time. It works well because we have Coach Wilson that teaches out of the district, so he doesn't have parent-teacher conferences anyway. But it kind of allows you to catch up on some sleep maybe, and then they'll be ready to go by 4 o'clock. If you can't focus for this week, you got problems.
Well, you've been around this program as a player and now as assistant coach, now as a head coach. QND and Macomb have a lot of history.
Yeah.
I don't think they've ever played in the playoffs, though, have you?
Oh, we have.
Have you?
We lost my sophomore year. We went down there and lost to them. And then the most recent home playoff game for Macomb, I think we beat them and then went to PR Notre Dame and lost.
See, that shows I'm getting old. There's been so many games I remember Macomb and QND playing tons of times, but I don't ever remember being in the playoffs.
Yeah, it was always week one. We'd play them week one, and I think it was my sophomore year. Or maybe it was my freshman year. No, it was sophomore. We went down there and got beat. But, yeah, it's fun to get to play QND. It's a good rivalry. So hopefully we get good game Saturday night.
Well, Justice, I know that the student section has been huge. You've been a part of that. This should be a huge night for Bomber fans and students, shouldn't it?
Absolutely. And, I mean, you're talking a local team, not necessarily a local team, but, they're within the hour, unlike Murfreesboro, where you got to drive 5 hours down to Southern Illinois. But, this is a local matchup. You're going to have a lot of teams or a lot of fans from Quincy come down, a great fan base from Macomb. I'm sure we'll have some alumni in the house. And, this is what playoff football is all about. It's coming together. This time of year, October, it's special, and, it's a chance for everybody to get together and enjoy some quality football in October.
Yeah, hopefully we get some good weather because the last, 2 home games it's rained. And I think we're going to have a huge crowd for the Farmington game for sure, probably the Havana game too. So hopefully we get some good weather and pack the stands on both sides.
I have to tell you that I have racing this weekend, so I won't be there unless it rains.
Oh,
so
maybe it can rain where you're racing. And
let's do that. That sounds like a good plan. We have to, because we're video. Justice, are you going to carry the game?
Yes.
Okay, so Justice will have audio of it for sure. We have to get permission and pay a pretty substantial amount of money to be able to do the video of the game. So that is the plan. We're going to try to make that happen, but. So I'm guessing we'll be there, but this is different in that old rivals coming together. Both teams can be here and travel. I mean, this place could be a rockin' joint on Saturday night.
Yeah, I think week one against Rushville was pretty packed. Kind of when you walk out, you can kind of see it. Once the game goes, you don't really notice, but they'll have a good student section. The Orange Crush will be rocking that night, so. We look forward to it. That's kind of the perks of being in the playoffs and a close game or a close team that we're playing. So it should be fun to play in front of a big crowd.
Now, Justice, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Quincy Notre Dame had to win to get in today?
They did. At 5-4, they were able to pick up a pretty big win. They went down to towards the East St. Louis or the St. Louis area today. Had to play today because the team they played does not have lights on their field, so they did have to have the afternoon game. They did have to win. So, I mean, not an easy day for them. You had to sit Friday night see what teams win, and then they had to wait until this afternoon to find out after, win or lose, we're either in or we're out.
So I said it's kind of been role reversal for Macomb this year, right? Because in years past, when you were a player, you guys never went undefeated. You were 6-3, 7-2, but you had a really tough schedule. And you'd go into the playoffs kind of backing into the playoffs. People would say, oh, they're not that good. They just made it in.
Yeah.
It's like, and then you'd play somebody like Q&D who was 9-0 at the time.
Yep.
Now it's kind of a role reverse. You guys go 9-0, although people are still saying maybe you're not as good as maybe you're not 9-0 good.
Yep.
But at any rate, you're going in 9-0. Now Q&D's kind of backdooring into the playoffs. I mean, it's like a role reversal. But when these two teams get together, it's never a bad game.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to matter what their record is. Their 5-4 is not – it's a pretty good 5-4, losing to Normal West. Looking back, Quincy High, who were the other two? Muhammad Seymour, and who's the fourth one? I can't remember. But it was 4 really good football teams.
I guess it really doesn't matter, right? Everybody's 0-0 right now. Right?
Exactly. It's 1 week at a time. So
what's I know we heard you talk to the kids, and it's all practices. Everything's normal. The 9-0 thing, I think it's going to be hovering this week. I mean, because there's still that group of people who say you're not that good, and there's other people say that, oh, we're better than that or whatever. Can you use that as a, look, you're 9-0, but you haven't done everything, or you're 9-0 and you're better than people are still giving you credit for? Can you use that as motivation at all, or do you just kind of forget about that and say, hey, we're playing football?
Yeah, to an extent, but our guys have kind of been looking forward to the playoffs since we beat Elmwood, not to look past anybody, but it's been tough to kind of stay focused because we were waiting for this moment. So I think now we'll be able to lock in, be ready to go, and get 5 days of practice, and so both teams will be very prepared. And hopefully both teams play their best on Saturday night.
We're looking forward to a great ball game, and looking forward to carrying it. Hopefully video streamer, that's one of the unfortunate and disappointing things that they do, and making local media outlets pay to do the games. But
well, I think audio can still do it for free, right? Audio only is free. It's it's just one of those deals. And IHSA has to make money too.
Yep.
I don't agree with it or like it, but I understand it. Does that make any sense?
After 2 years of COVID and not having their money making state series events, it's necessary.
You understand why they do it. Doesn't mean you have to agree with it. And I suppose there's things that happen on the football field, right? For you as a coach, or things you do that maybe as a player you don't want to do that, but those are things you have to do, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think Jack and I go back and forth on that one. Sometimes he's like, "What are we calling? Why are we calling that?" But you got to you got to set some things up, and sometimes you got to give guys breaks and whatnot, or maybe it's the end of halftime and got difference of opinion. So,
Before I let you go, these kids 9-0. Jeter has gotten tons of talk. Langdon Allen's got tons of talk. Jack Duncan's got tons of talk. Max Reiner's got tons of talk. Can you sneak up on anybody? I mean, is there enough talk about you haven't played anybody that you can still sneak up on anybody?
I don't think you're going to sneak up on anybody at all. It's the playoffs, so I don't think throw that out the window. It's win or go home for everybody. So if they want to look past this, let's go for it. But I don't think Coach Cornell is going to have them ready to go, and we're going to have to play really well to win.
And nobody ever looks past Q&D, right?
No. I think you get this one, and then things work themselves out. You might get a Macomb Q&D volleyball match here in a couple of weeks, and it'd be fun postseason, kind of bringing that rivalry back.
I have to tell you, there's no pressure. I mean, the volleyball team did beat Q&D.
They did.
So there's no pressure for. The girls can say, you know what, we beat them. I don't know what your problem is. So
that's right.
You're going to have to just go out and say, well, if you can do it, we can do it too.
And my co-teacher's Coach Rexroth, so get that one too.
I want to tell you, this is the first time in my life that you can say what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you guys know what I'm talking about there?
I've heard it, but
Okay. Goose is a female, gander's a male goose. Yep. Okay. Just for everybody keeping score at home. Holy smokes. That shows me how old I am.
I've heard it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to take a break here on this recording.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach Horrell of the Tanner variety is talking about the fact that the Bombers will play QND on Saturday night at 7 p.m. We're going to bring Coach Horrell of the older variety in and talk about some of the things that are going to come this week from Macomb High. A whole lot of stuff, including postseason volleyball starting as well. So we'll be back in just a couple minutes on TSSR Game Time Live, presented by MDH.
I went through MDH when we were trying to get pregnant. We were struggling the first year, and then when we got pregnant, I stayed at MDH and through labor and now for pediatrics. My experience was nothing short of phenomenal. I was met with amazing staff members who helped me through concerns that I had when she was first born, helping me learn how to be a new mom. It was really reassuring and comforting knowing that I had so much support and kindness around me. My entire pregnancy at MDH was amazing.
The industry-first 2-in-1 removable agitator from Whirlpool gives you 2 ways to wash. Jeans, in. Sweaters, out. Towels, in. Comforters, out. You decide. Whirlpool.
MTC Communications is building a high-speed fiber network in our community, and we're putting priority on the areas with the greatest interest. That means we need your input to let us know you want us to build fiber in your area first. Experience the speed and convenience of fiber internet by visiting our special website and registering. Let us know you want fiber internet today and make your voice heard.
I see acute injuries on the field. I see ankle sprains. I see ACL knee injuries, as well as in the clinic. It's very rewarding to see them from on the field injury to rehab to transition back to their event.
And welcome back, the elder Horrell in the house now, and you have to feel pretty good. I mean, your kid, a kid you coached, kids you raised, as a 9-0 coach going into the playoffs against QND.
You know, I'm very, very proud of Coach Horrell, of Tanner. Coach Ladd is kind of like an older brother to Tanner. You know, we were fortunate enough to coach him and see him through his years, and Coach Driscoll. So yeah, it's kind of a family affair, and it is very special. You know, Tanner by far is a much better coach than I ever was. I no ifs, ands, or buts, and he just the way he clock management, the way he handles players, the schemes that he comes up with is great, and so yes, I'm very proud of him and proud of our coaches and our kids. Yeah.
Well, that's as a parent. You have to be pretty proud as an administrator and AD at Macomb too, don't you?
You know, it's you know, when you look and you see, you know, the people that you selected to step into a coaching position and the success that they have, it affirms what you believed when you made that hire. Yes.
Justice, I know you work with AD Horrell on a regular basis. You guys have a really good relationship. You're a big part of this athletic program at Macomb as well. So I think you're going to probably be seeing a whole lot of this guy this coming week, aren't you?
Yeah, we got volleyball regionals and football playoffs, and what else we got in there? We got a whole bunch.
Well, today,
go ahead.
Yeah, today
we had cross country.
Today we had cross country. Both the boys and the girls teams qualified for sectionals, and they'll be in Elmwood on Saturday morning. So those kids will be back. Coach Ames, our clock operator, will be back in time for the game at 7 o'clock.
That's the reason why it's a 7 o'clock. Now I know what it is.
Well, actually, what happened was you have to play on Saturday unless both teams agree to play on Friday night. And Notre Dame playing today wanted that extra day of rest, so we get to select the time. So Coach Horrell checked with a couple of his players, his coaching staff, and they came up with 7 o'clock to keep it more of a routine in a day of what we got. You know, we're going to eat at this time. We're going to get into the field house at this time, and what along there. You know, that's one thing that we've toyed about with is possibly moving week 7 or 8 game to 1 o'clock in a Saturday afternoon, just so we have that experience of getting up in the morning. Maybe we have to travel on a Saturday morning, or what would happen if we played at 1 o'clock. So it's everybody's 0-0 coming in, and it's exciting, and that was a rivalry for many years. Before we were in the conference with the West Central Conference, and then once we were in the conference, and then in every sport, and that was one of the things when we left the West Central Conference that Coach Cannell and I had an agreement that we were still going to play them and everything, and we have a great relationship with them, and it's going to be an electric atmosphere Saturday night out on South Johnson Street.
Does that make it a little bit easier for you as an AD, knowing Coach Cornell personally, in coordinating little things and putting things together? Does that kind of help you out, a little bit knowing the AD you're working with?
Absolutely. And last year with Murfreesboro, we traveled quite a ways, and then, just a different relationship. But with Coach Cannell, it's one of those things that, we talk. I guarantee you, Coach Cannell and I talk every week, regardless of whether we're playing a playoff game or we got a game scheduled that week. So, yeah, we're going to do that. And, another twist there is Coach Horrell and Coach Cornell played against each other in high school. They were both on the Dewar team together as seniors. And so, those guys have known each other for years.
So let's talk about the fact that you were a coach for a long time. I've covered football for a long time. I have never covered a Saturday night playoff game. Have you ever played one?
Yes, we did. Back in '98, we went on the road. Week 1, we went down on a Friday night. We went down and played Piasaw Southwest. Week 2, we played Olney East.
That's
Olney
a
East
long
Richland.
ways across there.
But they were coming up to us.
Okay.
They came to us. Well, the Altrusa were having their big Christmas thing.
Bazaar.
Christmas bazaar in the high school, so the parking lot was going to be jammed, and we couldn't play on Saturday afternoon, so we went to Saturday night at 7 o'clock. Western had a home game that day. The team was out there. The coaches were out there. It started to a little bit of a drizzle, so we sent the kids home. We all went home. By the time we got back to the stadium at Macomb High School, there was about, maybe a quarter of an inch of snow on the ground. So, yeah, we did play a Saturday night game in '98. But, yeah, it's one thing that, I know Coach Sears used to always talk about, high school football is played on Friday nights. I would love to play Friday nights all the way through and play on that Friday night after Thanksgiving as well. So, we're going to get after it Saturday, 7 o'clock. It's going to be great. We'll put stuff out to the public about, where we want you to park and what gates we want you to use, and seating, and just there's some things will be a little bit different than a regular season game, but it'll be easy, and it's going to be a fun night for everybody. And it's, we talked about this week, we got the cross country team that qualified for sectionals. We got our volleyball team that are 30-3. They start their regional play Tuesday night in Monmouth, and we're looking forward to, playing Tuesday and playing Thursday with those girls. Swim team's still going strong. So we're, tennis just finished up. We had a couple girls at the state tournament last week, Kylie Jakes and Tally Stone. So fall seasons are winding down. The winter seasons are getting ready to start some practices. Coach Horrell's doing a little double dipping right now because he's the 8th grade boys basketball coach, and they started practice Monday. So he'll Coach Kyle Watson is doing a great job of helping him out there with both 7th and 8th for a little bit. And, I get excited with high school football to start with, but to be in the playoffs, back in the playoffs where we belong, it's a great thing.
Yeah, people I think miss some of the ADs. What does the AD do? There's a lot of stuff that goes into these postseason, whether it's a single postseason playoff game or a postseason volleyball tournament or a postseason basketball. There's a lot that kind of takes to get all that stuff organized, and a whole lot of working with IHSA also, isn't it?
We work with different assistant directors at the IHSA that are in charge of different sports, and doing, and we talk with them, and we've been fortunate to host quite a few postseason events here in Macomb, and again, Justice Keene and Mary Beth Carl in our office do a great job of, getting things organized and what do we got to do. And we have tremendous support staff, both through our facilities or gate workers or the chain gang. Just all those things come into play. And this week we're going to have to do a couple different things for football specifically, because we've just used Huddle for our stats, because it automatically generates our stats at the end of a game. Well, the HSA requires you to have an on-field stat crew, and so there's a couple guys we're going to look to pull out of retirement this week, and I'm sure that they'll be more than happy to be on the sideline for a Macomb High Quincy Notre Dame playoff game.
Now, the question there, and Justin, I didn't mean to interrupt you,
No,
Justice,
go ahead.
but so does the on-field stat crew become the official stats, or can you still use the Huddles? I mean, and then do you have to take them on the road if you win this week and you go next week? Do you have to take that stat crew on the road there too?
No, the home team would supply the stat crew.
Okay.
So I think if there were any significant difference, then you would look to see what that problem is. And then again, there you have the film, and you can get those stats there. And I'm not entirely sure why that is, but and again, we're looking at it coming in. We may have a crew, an officiating crew that neither of us have seen all year. So things may be, a little bit different, and with football, it's not as much as the basketball or something like that. Rules are rules, and interpretation of rules are very strict, or more black and white, I guess, in football than, what's a foul in basketball,
Or what's a lift?
Yeah.
In volleyball. Yeah. Let's not get into that. What's a double hit?
I'm telling you what, that's the best job in the world. Volleyball referee. I love them, and they're great. But you know what? If you're not sure, do-over.
Yeah, I know, right? The only thing, the only sport in the world you get to do a do-over, right? Replay.
Do-over. Yeah.
You know what's funny about that?
Volleyball officials, if you're out there, I love you all. You guys do a great job, so thank you.
That's something you don't see that as much anymore. I mean, back 15 years ago, you saw a lot of replays. I mean, meaning they just say thumbs up replay. Yeah. And there's not as much of that anymore. They make calls a lot more often now, and just that's what it is. We're going to make the call and stick to it.
See, and that's where I'm not sure that my ADHD or something would kick in, and I just get involved in the game and watch it, and then they didn't not blow a whistle, and they look at me, I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, do it again.
So I'm going to say to you what I said to Tanner. I said, there's no pressure in this game because the volleyball team beat Q&D. I said, so what's good for the goose is literally good for the gander.
Yeah, well, I imagine Coach Rexroth, who is Coach Horrell's teaching partner at Edison, is going to give him some tips on how you can do that. And again, once we beat Notre Dame the other day in volleyball, and our kids took a picture of themselves on the pit, I imagine that picture has been plastered all over the volleyball locker room and is probably going into the football locker room tonight.
I would imagine that. I actually said to Coach Rexroth in the post-game interview, I said, kind of wish you'd have lost this one. I mean, not because you expect those two teams to meet, right?
Right.
And there's the celebration on the floor, and it's the regular season. You kind of wish this is that's got to be like major thorn in the side of Q&D going the rest of the year, right?
Right. And there was a very real possibility they could have played today, but, they're in opposite pools. We lost a tough one to Breeze Mater Day, so they were in top of our pool, and Notre Dame was top of their pool, so they didn't play in the championship, but, our girls came out strong, beat a Montini team that were 2A champs or 2A runner-ups last year and beat them for third place today. So, and we talk a lot – or we did talk a lot. I don't talk to our kids much, but about winning the wrong half. When you come back out after halftime and you're up by 20 points or you're up by one touchdown, remind them you won the wrong half. We would like to be up at halftime, but at the end of the fourth quarter, that's when we really want to be up. So it gives you that confidence, but also at the same time, the the game in November or the end of October. That's the one that's going to matter the most. And, back in, I think it was 11 or 12, the last time we played in the playoffs, we beat Quincy Notre Dame at Western in week 9 and then came home and played in first round of the playoffs and beat them out at the stadium.
So as you look at this, see, Justice is a golfer. And he had a good year this year. And the golf team had a good year this year. But I think coming into the year, everybody kind of looked down on the golf team, like, oh, they've lost so much, they're not going to be as good. And I think they were I don't know if they were individually as good, but as a team, they were almost as good, if not as good. The volleyball team, is 30 and what do you say, 30 and 3? 30 and 3, and still doesn't. People still have questions, I think, about whether they're actually as good as a 30 and 3 record. This football team is 9 and 0, and still people are like, well, they haven't beat anybody, so they're not really that good. They make too many mistakes. They do whatever. They're not that good. Some of that, I think, is because it's Macomb, right? And Macomb is the big school in West Central Illinois, and that's part of it. But you guys have built programs here, I feel like. When Justice and kids can step in to a golf program, and the golf program just keeps going. When the volleyball team loses some good players last year, and they fill those roles, and the football team fills roles, and they just keep growing. I think you guys have to feel good about Macomb sports right now. Maybe as long as I've been covering sports as a whole, I think people should be as high on Macomb sports right now as I've ever seen it.
Well, I know I certainly am, and the true Bomber supporters are as well. Not to take, what anybody else says, you let that roll off your back. But, yes, we have, Justice watched the golfers before him and watch what they did. He wanted to be a Bomber golfer. Coach Horrell, as from third grade on, was in the field house, on the sideline, every practice, all the way up through, him playing. My son-in-law, Tim Biagini, was a quarterback on the 98 team. And so right now, my grandsons will run around and say, I'm JT Jeter, I'm Jack Duncan, and they're playing and stuff. And Tim said, do kids really do that? And Sydney, Tanner's sister, looked at Tim and said, who do you think Tanner thought he was when he was a kid?
Right.
So, it's just it. I remember when I was a little guy, and we had no one in high school. But I would wait on Friday night, and I would be running around the front yard with an orange and black jersey on and rolled up socks in my shoulder to make my own shoulder pads, waiting for my dad to get home from work to take a shower so we could drive to watch the Bombers play football. And again, we had no one, no affiliation to the team except my dad played Bomber football. I was going to play Bomber football. My brother was going to play Bomber football. So now my sons play Bomber football, and hopefully my grandsons play.
Justice is one of the spearheads, or I feel like he's always in the forefront of the students, being out there and being at games. And so, Justice, you could probably talk on this. It seems like the alumni for Macomb, maybe more than any other school, truly bleed orange and black. Do you see that from the alumni that you see come back, and has that kind of been instilled in you guys?
Absolutely, and Coach started using the hashtag all over social media. Once a Bomber, always a Bomber, and we talk about what does that mean, and being a Bomber is special. Orange and black is special, and all the alumni know. If you're a Bomber football alumni, you know where you're at Friday night at 7:00. You're at South Johnson Street. If you're basketball alumni, you know where you're at. Boys are South Johnson, girls you're at Washington Street. And the alumni, they know, and they're proud of being a Macomb Bomber. They know what it means, and the passion that you get on line and the page that I do. We post all the good things, and you see the alumni writing great things, and that we're proud of you, and I remember back in I remember back in 99 when we did this, and it's special to see that type of things because not only are they connecting and saying we accomplished this too. You're getting that great vibe saying, we're here still supporting you. And I about guarantee you, I will guarantee you that there will be plenty of alumni probably at this game next week.
Yeah. And there's not an envy or a jealousy of somebody's doing better than I did. There is some of that. But as a whole, Bomber alumni support Bomber alumni. Last night, Dave Stewart, who has been at every football game. We moved home in 1994, and every football game Dave Stewart has been at. It doesn't matter if we're 9-0 like we were this year or 0-9 like we were 3 years ago. He was at every football game. Same spot in the bleachers. He drove over to Carthage last night.
Dave Stewart is a good dude.
It is. But, as Justice was talking about our alumni, what you two guys are doing is just broadening, allowing our alumni to see our games. Okay, you've been, Dwayne. You've covered football, basketball, volleyball, tennis, and soccer this fall. I mean, basketball not yet this fall, but you covered all those things.
Yeah,
okay?
I still want to try to do swimming, and I've missed it. That's still my goal, is to get swimming, and we're going to do wrestling.
Yeah. So whether I say it enough, I appreciate what you guys do, and it's just great for us, and people love it. And when I go to the AD meetings and we talk about, are you guys live streaming or what are you doing, this and that? And, before you picked up more than what you were doing, it was like, well, you got Justice, so you don't have to worry about it. And then now they're like, well, now you got TSSR. So it's like, you make my job so much easier. And I appreciate what both of you guys do and other media people do, but you guys are the steady ones, where we can count on you every time. Here we are. Excuse me.
That's probably Tanner. That's probably Tanner saying his title.
Tanner's turning that. Probably
Murphy.
Yeah. You want to talk to him?
No.
We can talk to him right now.
Yeah. No, that's okay.
Tanner actually held up his phone and said it wasn't me. I mean,
yeah.
He's getting ready to dial right now.
Yeah, your brother just called. Your brother just called. So,
I appreciate everything that you guys do, and it's really fun for me to have Justice on.
Yeah.
I've wanted to work with Justice because he's doing, as a kid, and no offense, but a junior in high school. I mean, he's still as a freshman when we started doing this, he was already doing this. I mean, the things that he's done is awesome. So to have him on here with us doing this, it's a ton of fun, and I hope that we can work together a lot more because I think it's great for everybody, and if we can work together, it only builds everything else that we can do. And I think that for West Central Illinois, when there's not a whole lot here, I mean, and I don't mean that bad, but I mean media-wise, there's not a whole lot here.
I'm going to disagree with you. We have 3 radio stations in town, and not one of them will come out. And you know what? I don't care if somebody gets upset. Doggone it, we're 9-0, and you won't come out and cover our football games. You won't come out and cover our volleyball games we're 30-3.
I can say at this point, in their defense, and I only say this because you got Justice already doing it. You have us already doing it, and I feel like both of us do a pretty decent job.
Do a hell of a job.
If you can listen to Justice and watch what we do, there's not a whole lot of room for radio to sell advertising to justify doing it at this point. Now, 2 years ago, I would agree 100%. Now, I think that ship for them has kind of sailed. I could be wrong, but for me to be successful at what I'm doing and for Justice to continue to do what he's doing, I hope that their ship has sailed. No offense.
Well,
I mean,
you guys are our main. You guys are our main guys. I'm just telling you that, and that's the way it's going to stay.
Well, I appreciate that. But at any rate, I'm happy to have you guys on. We're going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to have Justice come back with me to close out this show. Anything that you want to tell the fans about this week coming up or about Saturday in specific?
Just, keep an eye out on, our social media pages. It'll be on your Bomber Sports Net as well.
Sure.
It'll be on the Mac 185 Facebook page. It'll be on Bomber Sports Live Facebook page. It'll be on my personal Facebook page.
You can tag us in anything.
Yeah, we'll
be on Twitter too.
Obviously, we'll put it on Twitter as well. And sometimes mine are a little shaky because I type with 2 fingers and
You're a thumber?
No.
Oh.
I type with 2 fingers
on the keyboard.
on the keyboard. Yeah,
You're a
He hits that
pecker.
backspace. He hits that backspace.
I'm not hunting and pecking. I know where they're at. I just
Shelby Burgett. I can't do this.
Yeah.
You've known Shelby for years.
forever. Yes.
Shelby Burgett has made a living as a hunt and pecker.
Yep.
And now he's not, like you said, he's not a hunter. He's just a pecker because he knows where they're at. And that dude can type, like, I swear to God, 40 words a minute.
Yep.
One finger at a time.
Yep.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Didn't you guys take typing in high school? I took typing in high school, and I took typing on a real typewriter.
Let me tell you. I took typing in high school.
It probably wasn't even electric, was it?
Yeah, it was electric.
Oh, was it electric typewriter?
I think. I'm not
I'm
sure.
just kidding.
I don't know. But yes. But you had to type it out with your name up there and turn it in.
Yeah.
So it's not like, so.
Did you have the little white slips of eraser tape? They didn't have an eraser. Like if you had to,
No,
you had to backspace and put the little piece in there and
yeah,
click the
yeah.
key again.
But Mrs. Kravak was my typing teacher, and Julie Rezab sat right behind me, and she could type now. She would type her assignment and then type
yours.
my assignment and turn them both in, and I'm just saying, looking around like I'm typing and hitting the return and stuff, and so that's how I never learned how to
I could
type.
tell you're old though.
Yeah.
Because you did.
Yeah. So that's what so it's Julie Rezab's fault why I cannot type, because she was kind enough to do her assignment and mine, turn them both in.
Did you say Julie?
Julie Rezab.
Julie Rezab, if you happen to watch this and you can comment on this to whether that's true or false, we would greatly appreciate it.
Oh, okay. Yes, she will verify it, I'm sure.
All right.
Sure.
Well, Steve,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good luck this
and
week.
thanks for everything.
And we'll be back here on TSSR Game Time Live, presented by MDH in just a moment.
I went through MDH when we were trying to get pregnant. We were struggling the first year, and then when we got pregnant, I stayed at MDH and through labor and now for pediatrics. My experience was nothing short of phenomenal. I was met with amazing staff members who helped me through concerns that I had when she was first born, helping me learn how to be a new mom. It was really reassuring and comforting knowing that I had so much support and kindness around me. My entire pregnancy at MDH was amazing.
At Western Illinois University, leathernecks don't just blend in. Our purple stands out. Our students are innovative, creative, and resilient. At WIU, there is limitless potential, with campuses in Macomb, the Quad Cities, and online. Visit wiu.edu/potential to become a leatherneck and get an education that stands out.
Welcome back. I'm still laughing at the zoop on the old.
Those of you old enough, you know what that means.
Did you know what he was talking about when he did it?
Typewriter.
Okay, but
Yeah.
I didn't know, because Lord knows you've never typed. Or maybe you have typed on, but you never had to type on a
No.
typewriter like that. Those old typewriters had the keys where you had to go, and the arm came up and hit the paper and came back down. When I learned to type, it had that little reel on it, and as you pushed it, the reel would spin and go and hit it, so it never got locked up. Those old ones would lock up if you hit them too fast. My grandma could type 80 words a minute on those old, hard-pushing typewriters. I don't know. I could type like – if I could count delete strokes or backspace strokes, like I am still to this day, if I'm typing on a computer, I hit the backspace key without even looking at it. It's bad. It's a bad deal. Are you a good typer?
Try to be. I know where the key. If I know what I'm typing, I can.
You're pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, I hit the wrong key all the time. Anyway, let's talk about football. Western, man, a heartbreaker today.
It was, and first off, let's open this with great homecoming crowd this morning. I was in the parade, and great to see so many faces back in town. Those our familiar faces, and even some alumni tonight. And we had one of my classmates that used to be here in town. Her dad used to be a coach at Western, and she was back in town tonight. It was good to see her and catch up for a little bit here at the playoff party, but see a lot of familiar faces. And then I did make it out to the tailgate. A lot of great people out there. Big homecoming crowd, and then the great crowd at the game. Great atmosphere. Definitely a rebuilding year. And, people understand that, Myers Hendrickson first year, and there's a lot of tweaks you have to make. There's a lot of build that you have to do. But really, the loss at Southern Illinois last week, I think they were hungry to get back at it. They were neck and neck right down the stretch. They got that lead. It was just not closing it out there at the end.
Yeah, I tell you what, the best thing about that is you're, what are they, 0-7 now? 0-6?
I think so, 0-7.
So you come into this game 0-6, and you play like that. I mean, it's heartbreaking that you lose it, but it's obvious that he's got a team that's trying. You could at this point just clock it in against
absolutely.
a team that everybody expects you to lose to because they've been playing really well in Youngstown State. They didn't do that. They came out on homecoming, gave it a really good effort. Just some things went against them down the stretch, but that happens. Especially it seems like to teams that are struggling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the Bombers haven't seen that this year, but in years past,
absolutely,
you have seen that. You growing
mm-hmm.
up watching your dad coach, you've seen that when his teams start to struggle, it seems like bad things happen, and it's just like coincidence, but they happen to you, right?
Yeah,
and that's the same things that happen today to Western, and they'll get that turned around. Myers Henderson's a very good
great coach, and his dad, former coach at Western. There's football knowledge in that family all around. He played here in town. Bomber alumni, and just great family, down to earth. And I love the Hendricksons, Mark Hendrickson, Erica Hendrickson. Their daughter played basketball for my dad, and they were parents that would just about do anything for you. And still to this day, if you need something, they would do anything. They're great people, and a lot of respect for the Hendrickson family.
Well, in I-8FA football, which you haven't got to watch a lot of. Have you ever got to see an 8-man game? Have you went to see one in person?
Not yet.
Well, you know what? You should come do an 8-man game with us this year.
I've heard. Yeah, I've watched a few online.
Well, you should come do a game with us. You should just come do one. What the heck?
Yeah.
What's the hurt?
Let's do it.
And but I'll tell you what, West Prairie, Southeastern makes the state playoffs in I-8FA, which is not IHSA. It's
mm-hmm.
I-8FA. It's an association. The TSSR Game Time Live, presented by MDH, will have the state championship game on the 18th of November, the Friday before Thanksgiving. So that'd be cool. But West Prairie, Southeastern goes to Milledgeville. West Prairie comes in as the 10th seed. Milledgeville is the 7th seed, a 16-team, 4-week bracket. Milledgeville has had some injured players, some changes happen, so I think that should be a pretty good game. We'll see how it turns out, right? I mean, but that's why you play the games, right?
Absolutely, and I mean, you're headed into the playoffs. A little bit different than high school or IHSA. It's still high school football, obviously, but a little bit different than IHSA. But you're still competing for a championship at the end of the day, and those kids will be hungry coming in next week and get underway, and then try to battle all the way to the championship contest.
We don't know for sure. I'm guessing it'll be a Saturday contest. I have not heard an announcement yet. I can actually look and see if we've got an update on that from anybody yet, as we're still online here. Does not look like we've had one. So don't know a game time yet. I'm guessing it'll be Saturday. It's like a 3-hour trip up there. So I'm guessing it'll be a Saturday playoff game for West Prairie Southeastern. But I know Coach McCormick will get on with us and let us know that. Final thoughts, Macomb QND round 1 4A playoffs.
It's been a quick football season, it feels like. It feels like it was week 1, and now we're heading into week 10. But I tell you what an exciting time for this squad. And, you could feel the energy in here. You could feel the vibe tonight was really good. And there's a time to break out orange and black. Break it out this week, because you have multiple teams. You have the football team in the playoffs Saturday. But, I mean, if you can get up to Monmouth, come support the volleyball team. Come support the football team Saturday. And Friday, we wore purple and gold this week on Friday for Western Homecoming. Let's get the whole town to wear lots of orange and black and support this team this weekend. And Thursday and Friday, we talked to Coach Horrell. Going to be an interesting week. It's Monday through Wednesday, normal as usual. But Thursday and Friday, no school for Macomb because of parent-teacher conferences. So definitely that'll won't necessarily play a factor. Coach talked about he's going to keep practice as normal. But, it's going to be a great week. And I tell you what, I can't wait for that kickoff at 7 p.m. Next Saturday.
You're a student athlete. Does that affect you any if you have a golf match after a day off? Essentially, meaning like you don't have school, but your golf match still starts at 4 o'clock. Does that affect you?
It kind of does. It only if you do the right things, it won't affect you. But if you're sitting around all day and you kind of mosey around and don't get don't wake up at a good time, don't go to bed the night before at a good time, it will. Without a doubt, it will. It'll definitely mess with you a little bit. But for me, it doesn't, because I know that let's get a good night's rest. Let's wake up. Let's go through the same routine, eat at the same time, do normal match schedule. And same thing with Coach Roy. He talked about we're gonna have dinner at this time. We'll go to the field house. We'll do a little walkthrough in the morning, and we'll do everything as normal. And I think at the end of the day, it won't affect them too much, but it's still there.
Well, the one thing I want to point out is don't sleep on everything else that's going on this week. I know we're here talking about football, but don't sleep on the volleyball team. It's a very good volleyball team. If you can get to Monmouth, go to Monmouth. I would expect them to win regionals. If they win the regional and the football team wins on Saturday, it's going to be another great week next week.
It will be.
Don't sleep on any of these teams, folks, that are playing for Macomb High. They've got a lot of talent, and they're really good athletic teams, and they're good kids. I haven't talked to a bad kid on either of the teams yet. So be out there, support everybody. All these kids deserve it, and that's the reason why we try to cover something of every sport, right?
It is.
Because you have – they all deserve it, whether you're the golfer or you're a swimmer or whatever. You deserve the support, so get out and support all these teams.
It is, and there are so many great kids at our school, and I love going to school with each and every one of them, and isn't a bad kid on that volleyball team. They love each other, and, we love supporting them, and that football team's great too. They're going to be there to support you, and that's one of the cool things here at Macomb. For example, golf season, football players came out to the home invite for a little bit. We're out supporting the volleyball team at home, every time we can, and even making road trips, when we feel like, they need that extra support. But, great support system here at MHS. Student section will be, like feeling that it'll probably be rocking in Monmouth, and then I tell you what, the Orange Crush will probably be all out Saturday night as well.
So on football game nights, when you're broadcasting, or basketball game nights, do you ever miss the fact that you're up there broadcasting and not getting to be down in the Orange Crush?
Yes and no. I love being in the box because, one, it's warm. I'm not going to complain.
I don't care that I'm talking or doing anything important. It's just warm.
It's warm, but no, I love being in the box, and there's nothing more that I love doing than calling these games, and you get to be there to capture the special moments for these kids, and I'd love to be in the student section too, but I'll leave that to them, and I love what I do, and to get to call these games, and then to be in the gym, get to see all the antics on the sidelines with the coaches and talk to them, and this area, there's so many coaches that I've grown up around, and great people around here, and so I wouldn't trade it.
Well, Justice, I can't thank you enough. I know I've said it several times, but thanks very much for coming and doing the show with. I'm sorry that we ended up recording the end of it, and it our internet would probably be fine now. I don't really know what was going on, unless something happened regionally or something like that. But I do appreciate everything you did tonight. It's greatly appreciated. Hopefully we can work more together in the future. And
yes, sir.
If you are willing to do an I8FA game with us,
we'll get together.
We'll have you.
We'll make it happen.
To have you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
For Justice
it's been a blast.
Keene, I'm Dwayne Hulett. Thanks for joining us tonight on TSSR Game Time Live, presented by MDH, here for the Macomb Bomber Playoff Watch Party. We'll be back with hopefully playoff football. Justice will have it on the Bomber Sport Network on Saturday night, actually. I don't know if I want to say – I want to mess that up all week.
I probably will too, honestly.
Saturday night. That's just – I know Coach says they played one. That's just crazy to me.
It's different.
The other question is, how do I not remember that? I was working at newspapers here. How do I not remember that? But that's neither here. Thanks for joining
fun, guys.
See ya.
See you later.